What is up, YouTube? Today we're back with another Legend account review. You guys are getting spammed with all the Legend account reviews that we've been posting on the channel. But obviously, there is no account review greater than my own. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I hope you guys have been enjoying the account reviews from the end of the season. We were fortunate enough to talk with some very, very strong players from the ladder. But for this review, it is going to be my own account. So we'll be jumping right into things. Yeah, if you guys do enjoy, obviously like, comment, and subscribe for all of them, for the algorithm, for everything. And let's get right into it. All right, so pretty much this season, I basically didn't play for like a month partway through, just because like I was traveling and there was so much stuff happening. So I took like a nice month break in the middle of the season, I would say. And when I came back, I kind of started like playing more like cleave and aggro stuff, just because, if you guys saw my previous YouTube videos, I was able to like get a little bit faster in my account. So I took full advantage of that. And so shout out to Xarian, because obviously, like when I first came back, I didn't really know what to play. Should I play like Mate, Ruel, Satsuka, and like Flex and Conk and aggro, and I was like, oh, Xarian, like how about like how do I cleave? And then so he kind of walked me through it. So he shout out to Xarian for the season. Um, First unit that I will show. I'm gonna turn off the E7 music and put music over. Is Briar. However, 317, renewed will, pretty standard setup, nothing too crazy. My pre-bans were always basically Harsetti Bellion, but when I was second pick, I did ban Harsetti and Lady of the Scales, just because Lady of the Scales is just literally way too broken. And so, yeah, so I just basically heavily relied on playing Briarcleave right through Renewed Will. For Renac, I had him at 316. Um, Pretty average gear, I would say. Like nothing too crazy. Just whatever speed set you can put onto him or her. I don't know if it's a guy or girl, but it doesn't really matter. Luna had her on self imprint most of the time, or release imprint on most of the time, but had her at 310. No immunity, just on broken set, just so that I can, seal the stuff like Satsuka, seal stuff like Ilanav, Yenya, just basically anytime that there were passives, I would pick Luna. Because she also deals with free rin, so whenever they had like hand pick early free rin, then the seal and the unbuffable can take away the souls, enables your DPS to actually kill the free rin, which was really impactful. And I guess Renac kind of accomplished that as well, because you were able to do 7k fixed damage to the free rin, so it was really able to apply a lot of pressure in that kind of like first rotation with the comp. Sid, kind of whatever. Like this is just a speed imprint. Not exactly the fastest gear, but I did prefer to have Sid on like a higher speed, around over 300, because one of my Briar S3s, like I need to make sure that this can cut things like Infinite Horizon AKDs, things like Sage Ball, right, where I'm able to secure Book on 1-2 and I have Briar on 3, then I can just Soul Burn and then Sid can go S3 and I can just basically kill anything while they're deck broken. And that just really enabled the draft. So that's that. Festive Ida, I put her on Warhorn and she is on some okay gear, I guess. Like this is like maybe 21 average or something. But I played the whole season basically playing her on Taga Hell's Ancient Book. But towards the end, I actually pivoted away into Warhorn because I was facing a lot of people from Asia that were playing Amid. And the problem with Amid is, well, not really a problem, but Amid takes 2 turns right in the beginning, and then there's a third turn that goes, and then Festive Ida gets to play, right? So I didn't really find myself losing to any AoE cleave like Briar, so I opted to move away from, or not play the guy to a decision. I opted to play Warhorn because I mainly picked this into Amid players. And sometimes if I secured my book on like 1-2, whether it's with Freerin or with Luna, then I would just be able to set up a defense break and silence with the Festive Ida, and then just enable the rest of my draft in that sense. Plus, also having her at a higher speed is pretty helpful when I free run early, because you get 10% combat readiness at 300 speed. It's going to be cutting quite a bit. LPK, pretty cope, but not really picked. Maybe like 1 in 100 games when you're facing scales and they have like solo DPS on 3, which is like usually Satsuka. But honestly, she's pretty unreliable of killing Satsuka, so she's just having leftover gear. So it's kind of like it's pretty garbage. So it's like whatever. Um, SPP. okay into Yenya matchups when you're playing Briarcleave so that you can reduce the resource that they gain. And that was really the only times I picked her on 4-5. Shinji, I know a lot of people in the middle of the season were kind of like I was promoting like Church of Shinji because I wasn't familiar with Briar yet. And the Shinji was just basically to be picked when they target ban me with a Briar pre-ban, which was kind of like in the last few days. People started banning Briar when they saw my card, which is when Xarian was like, "Yo, change your card," because people know I'm Briar cleaving. So I changed my card, and even in the case when people ended up pre-banning Briar versus me, I just had the Sinji ready. So I play Proof of Friendship so that I can enable any DPS in the front to go right after Sinji, whether that's like Freerin or what's her face? Spirit Isoline. Then she was really impactful with the Proof of Friendship. Lady of the Scales, I mean, we all know that she's just busted. I had her on like I wish I could have more effectiveness, but I just can't. Like my gear is just garbage. So I have her at 290 so that I can enable her when people don't pre-ban her against me, and I just go bird's eye to generate souls for the Celine, so I can like S3 and then I can either generate souls for the Celine or I can set up soul burn for the BBK. Overall, I mean, she doesn't really need much explanation, right? She's just really strong. Para not picked this season, even though I picked her a lot in the previous season, and she was pretty much the main reason I got Legend previous season. Veronica just basically used her on the four pick when I had Renac on 3 versus Scales. Then what would happen is I would go like Renac 3, Veronica 4, and then you could proc the Scales in the very beginning. Veronica gets a ton of CR, boom boom, and then you can stun the free run and stuff like that. Outside of those conditions, I didn't really pick her. Outside of the random like 1 in 50 Korean that picked BBK on like 4-5 or for whatever reason, then Veronica became a force ban. Silk, just a community for dual attack. Sage Ball, pretty garbage, but I had 70F, not 100. But unfortunately, my immunity gear is pretty restricting. I don't have that good of immunity gear on this account, so I just kind of relied on just being at 280 and having enough HP, or barely enough HP on book so I can get the extra turn. But honestly, the gear is pretty underwhelming. Acades 280. I had to make a 280 Acades because people were being a little bit too disrespectful on the last week. Like on the last like 3 days, people were like just like raw, like just playing aggro into me, and I was like, "Fuck this!" Like I need to have my Acades previously was like 267, I think, and so I swapped it over to 280 so that I could be a bit faster to make sure I cut and don't get outsped. Shu pretty much not picked because May got buffed, so this is pretty garbage. I wish Shu was more prominent in the meta, but it's just not very good. Like she's maybe good in like 1 in 50 games when they have like Genesis Raz plus Emma Hua, and you just want to have some chip and you can like ban the maid. But very, 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 very rare you could pick this unit. Lua, have her on like I didn't touch her build since like the previous season, I think, where I just had her like Giga High F so that I could provoke through Warfare Frenzy and stuff like that for some units. But again, like her gear is also like not the greatest. It's a Lua. Um, Opsig was actually picked a couple times here and there whenever people would jam like FCC on 3. Pretty viable because if there's no defense pen frenzy, then this unit becomes pretty good. And also, it's not weak to Zeo, so if they ever just jam like a Zeo 4-5 on you, then you're protected with the Guiding Light. Flan just as a Zeo bridge, nothing too special. Just I slowed her down from 280 down to 274 as she saw less and less play, but pretty much as close to 200 F with as much attack and speed as possible. Celine, definitely one of the MVPs of the season. Playing her on just speed pen. I did have her at like 295 before, but I slowed her down because at 295, like it's really hard to actually guarantee kills with Summer Photogenic. So I opted to just make sure that she had enough damage to kill. So I slowed her down and I gained like I don't know, like an extra like 300 or 400 attack. So that's why I had her at this speed. And I noticed that having her 290, like it actually like lost me more games because I was outspeeding like Festive Ida, I was outspeeding like Luna, like I was just outspeeding like random like openers because of speed RNG, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna make sure this is slower so that if Ida does get the turn, I can just like soul burn out of it and then cleanse. And the damage is, but the damage is the main reason why I swapped her build. Ludwig at 272. This is a really embarrassing Ludwig. Like my attack starts with a 3. Like I kind of need to just get roped in PUBG. So yeah. So this is a Ludwig. I just had him fast and tuned. Caesarea, not really picked that much, but sometimes when I have to cut the Acades and I had Soulburn guaranteed with Briar on a book on 1-2, then I could play Caesarea and then I could just like pop the free in with the bomb damage and then just kill. Laya's not picked. Uh, Max Sweet Miracle for fun. Dual attack, or I don't even have the right EE, so it's just rack. 10A, I only really picked 10A when I had to pivot into playing control, which is like pretty rare, I would say. A lot of times I was picking like Flan or Celine or Roana or Ludwig or Politica or Taeyu on the or imprints on 4-5. So only times I would play Tenebria is if they had like Giga Tank down and I just need to like play CC, then yeah, and then I can just pick this. Watcher's fucking OP. Or Westwind Executioner sure is OP, man. Like if you guys haven't built this unit yet, like this unit is OP if you're playing AoE cleave, like especially with Rand getting buffed next season. If you're a cleaver and you're planning on playing AoE cleave, like this unit is so strong. Like Assassin's Pledge gives an extra burn and it just does like so much damage. But yeah, if you're a Briar cleaver, if you're an AoE cleaver, you absolutely have to need this. You need this for sure. I need to like increase this speed by 10, but I just don't really have the flexibility on the gear for that. So I'm just gonna rock with 270 for now until I actually lose a game. Zio, I had it at 270 speed, at 215 effectiveness. I mean, this is, it's just the Zio. Like, it's nothing special. Um, yeah, I think next season's changes will make it a little bit easier to build him, but I just had high F on Zio just so that I can tag most stuff, even through Warfare rule, outside of like, Acades or whatever. Freeran at 269. Probably some of my best DPS gear, I would say, on the accounts, if not the best. I never really fribbled this season either, just because it wasn't really like Cleave only takes like 10 to 20 units. So I was like, I'll just hand gear everything. So this probably isn't the best possible build, but it's decent enough to where I was able to end Legends, so that was good. And I mean, I don't think I really need to talk too much about Freeman. I mean, you guys all know, we all know, like she's kind of broken, right? Um, can you show artifacts? I mean, I don't have that many Freeman arties. I have 2 max. I have another max one coming, so not much. Alika, I got to pick her on 4-5 due to Xarian's like MLM, which ended up actually not even really being an MLM. So the Alika was like for a very specific purpose, where when people would pick like ML Aria into you, forcing your Briar to need like 30 souls, or sorry, 40 souls, you overload with the Alika as like a reliable DPS that's also fast enough to bridge with the Renewed Will. Then you can actually like land the target through the soul burn and then S3. And her S3 also just does like a shit ton of damage when they're death broken by the Briar. So the Zayleika pick actually was like a sleeper pick. It's actually like one in like whenever basically they pick ML Aria, like a Leica on a 4-5 with Briar is insane. How do you fiend? Nothing special. Like if I'm getting cleaved for whatever reason, I'll pick this sometimes. Or if I'm just like trying to counter MLTU as a force ban on 4-5. A lot of people I think getting like a lot of people that have coached that are getting to into Emperor, like they actually didn't know that Halda Yufine is a MLTU counter. So I guess like if you didn't know this as well while you're watching YouTube or on Twitch, like her S2 reduces the amount of combat readiness gain that Teiyu can get. So, like, this is an automatic force ban, right? So if they ever are picking like Teiyu early and your first pick, you can just go like C Phantom Politis, Holiday Yufine on 4-5, and it jams the Teiyu pick, and then you just ban last, right? So if you didn't know that, like now you know. But yeah, she's basically just like anti Teiyu for me, pretty much. Here's my fast flan. I have 3 flans, but I only have 2 built right now. But here's my Ago flan, pretty standard, just like 12k MCD with like as much speed as possible. I went 265. I used to be 240 with more damage, but I lost like a few games one day where I was a little bit too slow. So I was like, fuck this, I'm going like way faster. So I cranked it up to 265 so that I can make sure I bridge with my units. Um, Green Celine, I didn't really pick this that much, only into like Amid, and I would pick like yeah, I didn't really pick as much. Maybe like 1 in 100, like Amid players, but Amid players kind of died off because I became a cleaver, so no one really picked Amid into me. So this unit was kind of dead. This unit just fucking garbage. Just forget it. Like she got an EE, but she's just useless. Like she's just garbage. Just absolute garbage. Like she can't even land her debuffs. You know, like you cut and then you S3 and then you see resistance, and you're just like, I'm just gonna just have that. Skip DJB. Shuri's just an imprint. Solitaria is mainly only good to stop the Zeo Flan 4 pick. So if they go like Zeo 3 and then they pick like Flan on 4, then this automatically becomes like a Giga Force or just a Giga Hard counter. So they can't just chain their team. And then you just pick like another good unit on last and you're pretty much being chilling. Ida not picked, 255, but I had her built. Mildred, pretty slow. Like I need this to be 275 or faster, but I just unfortunately don't really have the gear for that, so I have him just as an imprint. SBA again. I'm not triple S, and my speed gear is just garbage. So, if in a perfect world, this is 280, but I can't make that, so this is the best I can do. Dragon King Sharoon is pretty decent when I have Renak on my team, but I didn't really pick this that much outside of like two players on ladder who would always play Sage Ball into me, and like Sharoon was just fucking Giga Stomp. Um, yeah, like they would go like Sage Ball 3 with Yuffie 4, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? And then Dragon King Sharoon just becomes like a Giga Force, and it's just Giga OP when they have like a forced fleet. Here's my second Acades for like more standard setups, but pretty much never pick this towards the end just because I'm playing turn one, right? So I don't really need this kind of unit. Here's my aggro DDR. Um, Queen's Whistle so that I can take the turn after like Renak has 2S3 or just like my highest attack unit takes a turn. Then I'll cut forward with a 50% CR and then I have enough effectiveness to tag. I gotta say I hate DDR though. Like DDR lost me so many games because I S3, I see resistance, and I'm just like, just end my life in game. Here's my Gala, not picked. Not this. Okay, this was picked like earlier on when like they take the Ilnav, they pick Giras, but then obviously Giras fell off. So, but DN was pretty good for that instance when you could put the Penres up, but DN is just whatever gear. Now this is a unit that I used a lot towards the end. I'm running like what, like 200 or 300 and what's the math? 313 effectiveness on this. The reason why I have such high effectiveness on Politica is so that I can tag Emilacades. So I would basically have 0 on 3, and then I would like Teu 4, Politica 5. Then Politica would be able to like restrict the Acades and then like push everything back, and then it can enable my team to just like press all their buttons and kill them. I am trying to get closer to like 350 effectiveness if possible without losing too much speed, but I just don't think there's enough gear score in the world for that, but I am going to try to make that eventually. Here's my Bellion. I think a lot of people this season would agree that Protection Set Aureus Bellion is better. I actually disagree. I think that Speed Bellion is the best. Maybe that's because I'm playing aggro and I'm playing cleave, but I liked playing Bellion at this speed because a lot of times you would end up having like free rebellion on your 1-2, or you would have, you're fighting against the free rin and you pick the Bellion in response and you're playing aggro. Then what would happen is I have Fire Flan on my team, right? So my opener could drag the Flan, my Flan pushes, my Bellion drags the Flan again, and then it's just so much damage, right? Because I have a fast Bellion. A counter Bellion wouldn't be able to bridge that, so having the fast Bellion really helps accomplish that in terms of like killing off the maid. When they have like maid free rin, I can just like kill them off like that. And one of my games against, I think my final game against, or my second last game for securing legend against the Epioff guy, I picked this Bellion as well and it won because he didn't expect it to be like this fast, so it worked out. Djinn Poly not picked, super unreliable, just garbage unit. RB PVE, not really picked. I picked this in the beginning of the season with Conk on 3 to provide him with vigor, but not very good. Here's the maid that I did end up picking in the last few days of the season because I noticed that like when I'm playing second pick, I couldn't really play that aggressive, so I had to like start playing more a bit more turn two when I was second pick. So I leaned into playing like free reign made 1/2 when I had like Hearthside Scales pre-ban and I was playing second pick. And yeah, it worked pretty well. I mean, I won a lot of the games that I had with mates, so yeah, she's pretty good. But basically just bulk, speed, and ER. I had her at 250, but I dropped the speed down since I stopped using her. Here's my second Luna. I have it for like the slow builds. Don't ask me why, because I'm a cleaver now, so it's kind of useless. Watcher, just imprints. Yenya, I picked this when people were trying to force Briarcleave into me, and so that way they can't AoE me, and then I just kind of hold them hostage. So it was pretty good for that. And obviously, if you're a free reign player, the resource that you gain with from the fighting spirit, it helps a lot. So yeah, basically just pick this to stop the Briar Cleavers into me. Not picked. Standard DDR, sometimes picked it in standard setups when I'm second pick, but just bulk and just the 100F. Elena sometimes picked when they have like solo DPS Satsuka or like solo DPS um, Abyssal Euphine. Then Briar Estuary into this Estuary is pretty strong. But outside of that, I didn't really pick this that much, I would say. Dilibet, I mean, not really picked. I had her geared, but not picked. This counter ARAM was when I was still playing Hearthsteady, but not very good. Summer Break Charlotte is pretty good when you need to just like ZOS one or like Briar S1 and they don't have immunity. It actually does a fuck ton of damage, surprisingly. So I had this geared when they took the flan away. Then I was able to still like do S1 and do a lot of damage. And then also obviously like bridge my team because she grants 20% combat readiness for the whole team after her change. So she actually like worked quite a bit like in some setups versus people who are just like playing way too greedy. Fire Poly, just sometimes a force ban when I can Briar Soul Burn, and then they have Elena on the team. It's not bad. BBK, Destro Torrent, nothing too crazy. Just basically, I picked this when I was when they basically steal all the DPS. Like they they have like Hua, Ras, and they take the Flan, and you're like, fuck, like I don't have any other bridges, right? So like, fuck this. I'm gonna pick a unit that doesn't care about Hua kicking me in the face, right? So that's BBK. And if it did get kicked in the face, then it just increased my damage to max, right? So that's when I would just like just nuke them out of orbit with BBK. So it's very strong. Sylvian Sage, again, this is a unit I picked for Briar specifically when I needed a book and I needed a DPS that could just like wipe the board, and that was not weak to the debuffs that they picked early on. For example, like Tenebria, for example, Luna. Then I was Soulburn, and then they have no cleanse. I banned the cleanser, and then Briar, and then Sylvian just wipes the floor with this build. So very, very good. And this was a, I think this is the same build that I had when it was the Lua season, so pretty much unchanged for the most part. Second scale is not used. Never picked this. FCC, pretty good. I had this with more ER, but honestly, if I could like play that season back, or if the season was still ongoing, I'll probably change this to like a 240, 250 speed build, just because I think the speed FCC is really good for provoking Soul Weavers, and also just like cycling the flan duels. It was very, very impactful. But this did the job. I put this on 3 when they took the maid, and I had to fight Renac, so it did the job. Trash. Teiyu, so oh my god, let me just rant for a second. Like, there's some motherfuckers. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't say that. There are some people, specifically from a specific region in the world, okay? And they have these Acades that are so fast, and they can cut Teiyu. And I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, okay, I've had enough of this shit. So I went from 1-7. So I was fighting this one guy on ladder, and I won't specify what region he's from, but he would play Acades on 3, and he would have like a 290 speed Acades. I'm like, what the? I'm like, how is this cutting my Teiyu? Like, what? Right? So, I went from 170 to 180 to 190 to 200. So yeah, that's why I have a 200 speed Teiyu, because I had to make sure it cut the Acades. And eventually the guy just couldn't beat me anymore because I sped my Teiyu up so much. And then he just died every single time. Like the last 5 matchups that we had in the end of the season, he lost all 5. So it was just Jover. Yeah. Arya, force ban when they are playing like Zeo Ludwig. and they're trying to like Ludwig cleave you with Zeo, you just pick Arya. You jam the souls. They can't kill you. You just free win. Um, she's missing a boot, but her whatever. I'm not gonna fix it. Basically, I had her on like a tank build. Specifically in setups where they would go like Zeo Flan, and then I would go like Solly 10-8-4 5 ban last. Right? They ban the Solly, they dual attack me. I'm still alive. I laugh in their face. I press S3 and the game's over. Counterbellion in the cases where I needed to get a win con, specifically versus one guy who pre-banned Satsuka, and they would play Freerin, or they would play like Freerin, or they would play Celine without a Bellion pre-ban. Then I would pick the counter Bellion for DPS on 3. Outside of those conditions, I didn't really pick the counter Bellion, so it was very, very rare that I picked it. Mortem Reversal, pretty garbage, but it was basically banned on 4-5 every time. Triple Torn Strays for Aimid, but I stopped playing Aimid, so it's just useless. Genesis Ras on Precious Connection. If they pick too many debuffs, then I would just play the Genesis Ras to, um, kill them pretty much. I think the gear score is okay. It's not great, but it's all right. Ruel is on my reversal set on Guardian Ice Crystal. I don't have immunity, unfortunately, but I never really picked this unit. Like, usually I'm the one cleaving, so I don't pick this. But anytime, like, for example, if they like pre-ban Briar, they pick May, they're tanking down. I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck you then, right? I'm gonna play Satsuka on 3, Ruel on 4, right? And then just take it, and then just be really AIDS. Elvira's a force ban for Teu. Here's my second Green Celine, who was on highest attack EE. Specifically picked this versus the blue Elena players. You might be looking at this and be thinking, oh, the speed's kind of slow. I didn't lose a single game where Celine didn't cut because she gets 24 from here and then she gets 30 from here, right? So she gets 54 CR, so it never got outsped. So that led me to never changing it. But even if I lost just like one game versus Elena when I pressed Briar S3, then I would for sure speed this up. But I never found the need to, so I just kept it at the speed for that reason. Um, not picked. Not This is not very good. Like, I never really picked damage Euphine. There's always prot Euphine, so I don't really need to talk about this one. Here's my second Fire Flan, who is on Riposte pen set. This one is 5.2k 300. Pretty much. I had Harsetti pre-ban, but the way I would use the Riposte Flan is if I was trying to like a lot of times people would go like Barunka opening with like a tank, and then they would, I would speed up, and then they would go like Zeo on 3 plus whatever unit. Oftentimes I would pick Riposte Flan, and surprisingly, it would actually get like pretty good value. Just to do a ton of damage and just counter when they try to hit me, and I just laugh in their face. Very, very good build for sure. But if I was playing Harsetti, this would be pretty good. I have two Huayang, so here's my first Huayang. This is on Destro. I found the Destro to be like pretty strong in some setups when they would have like Arunka Tene Luna made or something like that, and they just play like disgusting light comps. Then I pick the Destro one to just nuke them out of orbit. But yeah, this is the Destro one. Dragon Bright not really picked. Here's my second MP, Destro on immunity with Rise of a Monarch. Pretty much just picked this when like I needed Penres and I needed damage, and I didn't need Mitt, so pick this. LRK Prot immunity on Aureus, pretty garbage. I tried picking this because like the last few days, I saw people go like early Bellion and they would jam like Freer and Celine on 3, and I'm like, oh, LRK is probably pretty good. And then the Bellion's like fucking base speed, and they're just laughing in my face. And I'm like, okay, this is useless. So I picked this like maybe like 3 or 4 games, and I was like, yeah, this is not it. Lionheart, played Destro Immunity on Symbol. I know a lot of people that, you know, especially cleavers, like they probably have like it faster, like 200 speed, but I just kept it slow because it didn't even matter. Like anytime I picked it, it was getting banned, right? If they're going Satsuka, I go Lionheart, it gets banned every time. So it made no difference. It never really got through. And the times that it did, they just died because I would have like Briar 15% CR push with the Lionheart. I get 65 CR. Like it's just GG pretty much. Here's a second Hua Young who's on counter. Again, it's only B imprint, so I can't really get that good of a build. But I basically had the counter one ready for like anti-cleave. So if they had to hit the Hua, then I had counter odds to win. So pretty generic Hua, I would say. Cavill is on the. Don't ask me why I have a pen necklace with double torrent, okay? I know someone's gonna see this video and they're gonna comment why. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Like it was I might have been brainwashed, mind control, NTR that day, and I thought the pen said it was torrent. All right, it is what it is. The end. Kayron is just on bulk, right? Just full bulk on MLDB because I don't have Shepherd of Chaos because I'm a bum. So yeah, but it's pretty good into like Tenebria and like free reign and stuff like that. If I can tank it, if I have mitigation, so it's not bad. Edward pretty much only pick this unit when they jam like Briar 3 with Ludwig and they have to press. Then Edward becomes a force ban because you can nuke their DPS out of orbit. But that requires them to not have free reign on one, so it wasn't picked that often. But I did pick it a couple times and it won, so it was value. I present to you the best Amiki in the world. I don't know if it's actually the best one in the world because it used to be 150 F res, but it's pretty good. 5.8k attack, 133 F res on immunity. I mean, Amiki's pretty self-explanatory. She's very, very strong, so we'll just leave it at that. Hua Young's on Destro Torrent, not really picked. Like it's very, 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 very rare I would pick this. Yolha was on Aureus. Again, I was mainly the cleaver, so I never really picked this unit. But I had it geared in case I had to jam it with Yenya on 3 or something like that. Probably Fiend, very, 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 very useful. I had Pro Fiend. Sometimes I'll play Pro Fiend on 3 if they try to play aggro into me. For some reason, I noticed like people would play Ahmed into me on like Ahmed 2 and then something on 3, or they'll play Ahmed 3, and I'll just pick like Yuffie on 3, and then like a flex unit, like usually it was Festive Ida, and their entire comp just falls apart. So Abyssal Yuffie on Prosta was actually very strong versus the Ahmed players. Um, but yeah, that required them to not have Luna on 1-2. So you kind of had to pick Luna early in your draft when your second pick, so that you can deter them from going like Ahmed into Luna into kill your whole team, right? So there's that. Requiem Roana, it's okay. Like it's 312 effectiveness with 4.6k attack. It's a Requiem Roana. Like it's not impressive or anything, but it's yeah, you just need effectiveness pretty much. Um, Second free reign, not like that was troll. Here's my Setsuka. I had it on Riposte HP set. Pretty generic, I would say. If I could have put immunity on it, I probably would, but I didn't really pick Setsuka enough to warrant me to change the build, so I just never did. Um, what else is there? Christie. Christie was good if you had Celine on 3 and you needed like ER versus Tenebria or something. Then it was pretty good, but outside of those conditions, I hardly ever picked Christie. MP when you needed Penres on mitigation, then this is pretty good. Barunka. Barunka, very good unit, by the way. I have it on Rocket Punch, and I have it on Prod Immunity. The reason why I have it on Protection Set is because I need to give a buff to Celine so that Celine can Soulburn S1 and Nimble Sword on turn 1. And Prod Set also helps you survive against Reenact S3 for the 7k splash damage. Also, it's good for buff stacking versus Tenebria. So if Tenebria ever outsped and you could just like get your buffs up, then she only strips 2, so the process is very helpful in that regard. Rocket Punch. I know a lot of people will go like Noble Oath or POV or something like that, but Xarian actually was messaging me like one night, like a few weeks ago. He's like, "What do you think about like Rocket Punch? Like, would it be good for the free reign matchup?" And I basically told him I would try it, and then I basically played like a whole day of going on Rocket Punch instead of POV with Pro Arunka, and there was like so many games where free reign would have like like 1k, 2k, 3k HP or whatever, and then having the Rocket Punch Arunka on RPG would actually help win the game because I could still do enough damage by having like 2.9k defense, right? So actually a sleeper artifact on this build. Carmen, I mean, I'm not a beta, so it's like I never really picked this, but yeah, if I ever was feeling submissive, I'll probably pick this. Fat Cat not picked. Candy. Let me just say, yo, fuck that light E7 guy, bro. Like the last like 2 days of the season or whatever, I was crashing. Like I was in the vortex, right? I was like losing every game, and then his Candy got two S3s. He got two S3s before I even took two rotations on my team. I was like, what the? I was crashing out, dude. I was crashing out. But anyway, yeah, the Candy is just mainly used for buff stacking versus Tenebria. I never really picked her much because there was other ways to deal with it by like speeding up and stuff. But yeah, this is the Candy that I had pretty much. Um, yeah. Yeah, that's basically my account. I don't really have much to say. Um, I will also say, I guess, that I did go on like a huge 10 game win streak at the very end to secure my legend, which I think I could probably show on my E7 GG, I think. Let me switch scenes here. I think it should show because I haven't played that many preseason games yet. Um, where is it? Oh, here. Yeah, so I basically went on like a 10 game win streak from 3491, and then I just won 10 games in a row to get to where is it? 3559. So it kind of just went beast mode pretty much. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions about my account? Or if not, then that's basically. Oh, actually, I will say a few things actually. So people in the chat not asking me questions, but there's a few things I would say. Um, I think like if you're watching this and you're someone that is like always an emperor and you're wondering if you can get legend, I'm gonna give you like a few tips off the top of my head that I think are going to be the most helpful for you to bridge the gap from no longer being just a casual emp player and hitting legend. Number one is you really need to like review your matches. So every time you lose the game, you need to like analyze like why did I lose that? Did I make a misplay? Was it a build problem? And when you analyze the reason for your loss, let's say it's a build problem, right? Oh, if I had immunity, I wouldn't have lost, right? You go put immunity on. Oh, I didn't have enough damage, right? My Ludwig missed the kill by like 1k. You give him more damage, right? Oh, my KDs didn't cut at this speed, blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, we increase your speed. It's like you have to, you have to play your matches with purpose. You can't just like blindly play RTA and just slam games and expect like a different result because you're playing more games, right? Like it doesn't work like that. You have to play with intention, play with purpose, and then that way, like make changes like every time you play, every session, so that you can become a better player. Um, that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is like just don't give up, I guess. I think it's really easy to just be like, oh, like it's too hard, like the people are too fast, they're too whale and whatever. And like there are cases where you get gear gap. I get gear gap too, right? But the problem is you have to like accept that some people you just can't beat. But as long as you beat majority of the other people, then it's okay. You don't have to beat everyone. You just have to beat like most people. Like you have to beat 6 out of 10 people that you match against, right? And that's all it is, right? I think you've probably heard from my other account reviews. People say play to your strengths and all that stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with all of the other advice people say about playing to your strengths. Don't try to like spread yourself too thin. Focus yourself on like a specific roster, right? If you don't have good speed gear, don't play cleave. If you don't have good tank down gear, don't play tank down. If you're missing X unit, then find a replacement, right? Then I think those things are very self-explanatory. Um, Also, another piece of advice I would say is if you're not able to beat some certain players when you're playing in Emperor to Legend, um, you have to use E7GG to your advantage, right? Um, for example, right? Like let's say you don't know how to beat this Briar Cleaver. Let's say you just don't know how to beat. I don't know. We've said Xarian a lot of times today, but let's just say you don't know how to beat Xarian, right? Then what you do is you go to his E7GG, you fucking open his profile, you look at every single line that shows red, and you look at those lines and be like, why did he lose? Oh, because of this. Oh, because of this. Oh, because of this. Then you analyze, and then you're able to adapt, and then you're able to pick up some of the good things that other players are doing, like specific text that people do. Um, and then obviously you can incorporate that into your own gameplay. So E7GG is actually a very, very helpful tool, contrary to popular belief. Um, and I guess the last piece of advice I would say is don't be fixated on win rate. I think if you get too fixated on win rate, like for me, like I used to be like, oh, like, I'm a streamer, I have to have 60% win rate, or like, oh, like, like you look at the wins and the losses, like honestly, like none of that shit matters, right? What matters is like, did you get a frame at the end of the season? Yes or no, right? That's all that matters. If you have a frame, it's all that matters. So like the win rate really doesn't matter as long as like you're playing every single game and like I said earlier, you're learning from every game, right? Even if like you're 45% win rate right now, but every single game that you play that you lose, you're able to identify like where you lost, why you lost, what you're changing, right? Then are those really losses? Like they're not, right? They're leading up to your improvement as a player. So I don't even, view those as losses, right? So that's one thing I would say. Um, I think the final piece of advice I would say as well is when you watch a RTA video or you watch a stream, like if you're just trying to chill and you're trying to just, have fun, hang out in the chat, fuck around, this advice is not applicable to you. But if you're someone that's trying to improve and really get a frame, which you probably maybe are, I don't know. But if you are really trying to get a frame, you need to watch everyone play with intention. So whether that's like watching someone in Discord, whether you're watching someone on stream, like for me, if I'm watching a stream, I'm like, you S1 here? No, you should S3 here. How many souls is this person gonna get? Like how many souls are we at for free run? Should we like should we save the soul? Should we hold it? Like, should we just like S1 and wait for the next rotation? Like these are all questions that I'm asking myself, like not only like when I play my own games, but when I watch other people's streams. You have to be like critically like analyzing like every single decision, every single micro decision that people are making in that game, because that is what is going to lead into better decision making in your own games, right? Like subconsciously you're thinking like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead, and the only way you can actually build that like critical thinking or whatever, however that type of like thought process is by like just like getting reps in, right? Is if you're not playing yourself because you're too tired, you're too tilted, you're working, at least when you're watching a stream, you need to be watching like every single turn, every single decision that they make, and then talking to yourself like what is the right play there, right? And that is going to help you like get to the next level to like improve your gameplay like tenfold. Um, yeah, that's basically all of my advice. And yeah, from my chat, have you ever met anyone that banned both Briar and Sinji? No, no one banned Briar and Sinji. Like that's crazy. Because if they ban Briar and Sinji, I'm fucking roping them with Maid Chloe Ruel, man. I don't care, dude. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this account review. It's hopefully not too long. I'll find out once I start editing it. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to hit me up in Discord, or in my stream, or in the YouTube comments. Um, I do coaching for RTA, so if you're looking to improve, whether that's for Warlord or Champion or Emperor or whatever, feel free to hit me up as well. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching my account review, and I hope you guys enjoyed and enjoy all the other account reviews that are being posted this week. So thank you. Take care. Bye.